a new series from Tuesday the 2nd of January on BBC iPlayer.
The lunchtime news now on BBC One with Nicky Schiller.
Good afternoon. There's been more travel disruption this morning after Eurostar services to and from London St Pancras International were cancelled, affecting thousands of passengers. HS1, which operates the track, said engineers had worked through the night to remove unprecedented levels of water from a flooded tunnel. At least 29 services have been cancelled so far. Other operators are also warning of problems due to staff sickness. Aruna Iyengar reports.
St Pancras International this morning. Hundreds of passengers of all nationalities waiting to get trains to European destinations.
Well, at the moment we're trying to be optimistic and hopeful that our train will still be one of the lucky ones that goes and that we still make it to Paris for New Year's Eve, but obviously a little bit disappointed.
It's because I'm desperate to be to Paris. I'm really desperate to be with my family on New Year, yes.
We're not going home today, but we're just waiting. So we're hoping, it's going to be fixed.
And if we want to book a flight, that's probably not possible.
It's all due to flooding in the Thames Tunnel. This affects high-speed trains on the South Eastern and Eurostar services. HS1, which runs the line, says engineers have been working through the night, but the volume of water is unprecedented. They're advising passengers to check websites before travelling. Eurostar services have already been hit this Christmas. There were cancellations last week after strikes by staff in France.
Getting towards the end of a festive spell, which in the UK has been incredibly disruptive for travellers, that something else has come to upset an awful lot of passengers. And while the trains here are in some turmoil, I'm afraid it's a similar picture across large parts of Britain.
Storm Gerrit has caused havoc across the roads, rail and in the air. Scotland has seen gusts of 85 miles per hour. It's caused power cuts, fallen trees blocking highways and flooded railway tracks. On top of this, today there's reduced services on Thameslink because of crew shortages. And there are speed restrictions on the West Highland line due to strong winds. Over the New Year weekend, there's more disruption, with staff shortages meaning no services tomorrow on Northern Rail and expected delays on London North Western and Chiltern railways.
I've been outside St Pancras International Station here all morning and been seeing and talking to customers who are really disappointed that they can't get away for their New Year's Eve celebrations. Eurostar says it's cancelled around 29 services. A lot of people are now milling around on the platform waiting to see whether they can get away at around 4 o'clock, which is the earliest time that Eurostar say that they can resume any services at all. But it's not entirely clear whether anything will happen at 4 o'clock. Similarly, on the South Eastern railways, on the services to Ebbsfleet, they're also cancelled all day. And as I said in my report, there's problems also on the Thameslink line and the Northern Rail as well.
Aruna at St Pancras, thank you very much. Britain's shortest-serving Prime Minister, Liz Truss, who was in office for 49 days, has unveiled her resignation honours list, sparking an angry backlash from some critics. Her 11 nominations largely consist of political supporters and former aides. Labour says the list is a slap in the face to working people who are paying the price of the Tories crashing the economy. But Conservatives say she had a right to put people forward. Our political correspondent Shelley Phelps reports.
I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
More than a year after her resignation, Liz Truss's honours list has finally been revealed. The 11 awards, largely given to political supporters and former aides, include 3 life peerages. One for ex-Vote Leave chief Matthew Elliott, another for businessman and Conservative donor John Moynihan, and thirdly, Ruth Porter, a long-time advisor. There were also damehoods for the writer and maths education campaigner Shirley Conran and the former Conservative minister Jackie Doyle-Price. Another ex-Conservative minister, Alex Shelbrooke, gets a knighthood. Critics have expressed dismay at the list.
Remember, Liz Truss was Prime Minister for 40-odd days. She and her Conservative colleagues pushed the economy off a cliff. Families across the country are paying more on their mortgage, more in tax, more on their credit cards as a consequence of decisions taken by Liz Truss. And these are rewards for failure.
Speaking to BBC Radio 4's Today programme, a former minister who served in Liz Truss's cabinet defended her right to put people forward.
Liz Truss took on the most senior political job in the country of being Prime Minister, which is a role that comes with enormous responsibilities. She had been Foreign Secretary and held other jobs beforehand.
In a statement, Liz Truss said all those she's honoured are champions of Conservative values. Downing Street, which published the list, insists that all proper conventions were followed.
And for us, our heirs and successors...
This is not the first time a resignation honours list has caused controversy, and it's unlikely to be the last. Shelley Phelps, BBC News.
A 23-year-old man has appeared in court charged with the murder of a 46-year-old man who was hit by a car as he helped an unconscious woman in Sheffield on Wednesday. Hassan Janga, who's 23, has also been charged with 5 counts of attempted murder. Chris Marriott was helping the woman when he and several others were hit by a vehicle. He died at the scene. Well, let's speak to our correspondent Olivia Richwald, who's outside Sheffield Magistrates Court. Olivia, what happened in court today?
Well, it was a very brief court hearing. Hassan Janga, who's 23, appeared in the dock wearing a grey T-shirt. He had a plaster cast on his right arm. He spoke only to confirm his name and address, and he didn't enter any pleas. He's charged with the murder of Chris Marriott and also the attempted murder of 5 other people. They are Hassan Khan, Riyasat Khan, Ambreen Janga, Nafisa Janga and Alison Norris. Chris Marriott was out on a walk with his family on Wednesday when he came across a woman lying unconscious. He went to give her first aid, and this had followed a wedding party which had turned into a dispute and spilled out onto the street. But while Chris Marriott was trying to save the woman's life, he lost his own when he was hit by a car. The police have described him as a good Samaritan, and his family and friends have said he would always go out of his way to help other people. He was a volunteer helping at a food bank and also giving debt advice. Now, Hassan Janga has been remanded into custody and will next appear at Sheffield Crown Court on January the 2nd.
Olivia Richwald in Sheffield, thank you very much. The governor of the western Russian border city of Belgorod has said that 2 children have been killed following air attack by Ukrainian forces. The attack comes after yesterday's biggest bombardment of the war so far, where more than 150 Russian missiles and drones were launched against cities across Ukraine, killing nearly 40 people. Health officials in Gaza say that 165 Palestinians have been killed in the last 24 hours amid intense activity by the Israeli army. This morning there's been reports of renewed fighting in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Let's go live to our Middle East correspondent Yolande Nell in Jerusalem. So Yolande, it does seem that there is no let-up in the fighting at the moment.
Definitely. There have been these street battles, very intense, between Hamas fighters and Israeli soldiers in Khan Yunis once again. It's right down in the south of the Gaza Strip, seen as a stronghold of Hamas. And we've had Israeli warplanes also pounding the central refugee camps, these urban camps of Gaza. That's from where tens of thousands of people have fled in just the last few days. And local health officials there say that there have been dozens of people wounded, that the local hospitals are completely overwhelmed, some 100 people killed in the centre of Gaza alone in the past 24 hours. Now, Israel says that it's not restricting the amount of aid that gets into Gaza. It also says it allowed a 4-hour humanitarian pause along the southern half of the coastal road earlier today for 4 hours. But at the same time, we have the UN complaining that the amount of aid that's getting into Gaza is woefully inadequate. And it says that under these circumstances, with the ongoing fighting, mass delivery of basic supplies is impossible. And we've also had we've had health officials from the UN saying that they're very worried about new outbreaks of disease among the displaced people in Gaza.
Yolande Nell, for the moment, thank you very much. The government ban on XL bully dogs comes into force tomorrow, which means rescue organisations have until the end of today to rehome them. If they can't, the animals will have to be put down. Rebecca Ricks reports.
He may not know it, but Drax has been given a second chance. The dog was bred from 2 XL bullies before he was rescued from Birmingham and recently rehomed in Exeter by Pads for Pooches. Drax was an arranged rescue, but volunteers say the situation now is worse.
Up until the ban came into effect, we were never asked by a council pound or by a vet to rescue one of these dogs because it had been abandoned. We had not had one request before. Since October, we've had about 12. And we're just one small local volunteer-run rescue.
The RSPCA is also seeing people starting to leave XL bullies at its centres.
What we're faced with, unfortunately, is a deadline of New Year's Eve that if we haven't rehomed the XL bullies that are in our care that are ready to be rehomed, we're going to have to be in the really unfortunate situation that they're going to have to be put to sleep. So we are working incredibly hard to ensure that those dogs are being rehomed, that are able to be rehomed, but we're also then seeing abandonments coming in as well. So it's very much a changing pattern from day to day.
Drax is now living with Bane, Richard's other XL bully, and the family are taking the ban seriously.
We're lucky enough to own our own home, so we've got a big garden and secure fence and stuff. We did put in some extra gates to keep the dogs away from the main gate, just to be on the safe side. And then we've just stepped up our training with both of the boys.
The ban came after a series of dog attacks on people by XL bully type dogs. To legally keep their dogs, owners must buy a certificate of exemption, have them microchipped, insured, neutered, muzzled and on a lead outdoors. The government says it took quick and decisive action to protect the public and that it was working closely with canine experts to bring the measures forward. Rebecca Ricks, BBC News.
Well, that's all from me for now, but there's plenty more, of course, on the BBC News website or app. The next news here on BBC One is at 5:45. Bye for now.
Hello there.